This is one that really don't make sense for me. All right, and that
Let
is
me hear it.
narrowing your standards so much that you only choose an ancient man and ancient woman, and then blaming the world for your fucked up standards. That don't make any
Wait, boy,
sense. Cause you
wait,
create
boy,
that
this
box.
bad.
You create that friggin' box, bro. And sis, because that happens with a lot of my sisters, but my brethren too. Shift your standards, man. Cause clearly your standards ain't friggin' working. And if all you getting is ain't shit, something is wrong with your selection process. Stop blaming everybody else. Stop blaming all the men, all the women in the world, and blame yourself, please, cause that shit don't make sense. Yo, bloggers on no. This is your boy Farai, Tafari, not Tafari, for the people in the back. Welcome to Come True, the podcast. Thank you for coming through and expect to have a good time, man.
What's the word? What's the word? What's the word? If you're watching, you see what going on. If you're listening, you know what time it is, man. It's the one, the only Mr. Deshaun Webb, aka the luxurious one, man. We back again for another banger. Come to the podcast. One time for the one time.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I could see it's a two-man show today. Brian left us hanging, but it's all love, brother. It's all love. So we're gonna
Facts.
run this show without him. It must go on. So I guess we any interesting things happen this week for you? Anything that you care to mention, whether it's for you or for just anything, any event, anything you saw?
Um, I would say it's been a good happy Thanksgiving, happy late Thanksgiving for anybody listening. Thanksgiving was cool, little nice time to spend with the family and so you know what I'm saying. But not too
Sure.
much, man. Life been good. Been mashing works in school, working on a little documentary, some new things. Nothing been going too crazy in public events. Nothing too alarming in my opinion. So other than the topics we have for today, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay.
How about you? How about you?
Me, I mean, we had Thanksgiving, everything like you said, good vibes, good vibes. But one thing I did see or I did take notice too for this NBA season specifically, man, a
Mm.
healthy Lamelo is great to see, bro.
Nasty facts.
I
Yeah.
must say that. My gosh. Side note, but shit, I'm loving what I'm seeing. I hope the man stay healthy.
To be honest, right, that whole family kind of nasty and bad,
Hey,
and like
to
people
be
like them are
honest,
underrating them man. And if it wasn't for injuries, even like Lanzo will play
no,
real good
no,
before injuries start to link it. Don't get me wrong, I think Lamelo is the best one, but
yeah, no, Lonzo
yeah, man,
definitely
shout
does
out to
his
that
thing
whole
for sure.
family. Yeah,
And
shout out to them, man.
yeah, their father, he make a point on a pod saying that you see all the greats, them man that follow in his son's footsteps, they usually subpar or shit. Sometimes they
Fact,
good,
that's true.
but he was a subpar player, which he said, but being that he had the time to be home because he retired quick, he wasn't the best player. He had time to focus and really give the attention to his children that they deserve. So that was a good point he had. So he was able to work with them just throughout the entire life, and that's a
Fact.
great accomplishment. I know any father would be super happy with that because all his sons made it to the NBA, even though the I forget the one that playing the G League. I think he's playing the G League now.
I
But
don't even know who he is. No, I know he get caught up. He was overseas. Me ain't really sure where he is. No,
yeah, that's
but he
a
could still go.
great
He could hoop
story,
though.
man.
Facts.
So let's get into it, man. This the overall theme of this pod is the reality of life. You know, because life ain't easy.
Facts. Heavy topic.
Life is not easy, and nobody ever said it would be. So we shouldn't expect it to be easy. But that's really the overall theme of this pod today. And we gonna start off with the fact that struggle builds character. So I watched this pod, well,
Mm-hmm.
clips from a pod where it was a coach. He was talking. It was on Elevate Your Game podcast, and he was saying he looks for the kid that's hungry, not the one that just want a plate to eat, because that one that's hungry, he gonna figure things out. If you need to catch a bus to get to where you need to get to, he gonna do that. If you have nothing to
Mm-hmm.
eat, he gonna put meal in some bread and eat that. He gonna make things
Mm-hmm.
work with whatever he got. Whereas the person that has just waiting for something to eat might have a cupboard full of food, but he waiting for somebody to cook that. He might come to practice and things like that, but only because you ask him to, not because he actually hungry for it. It's just something for him to do. So
Facts.
you're basically saying he's looking for that, and then he compared it to, or went into talking about how you create one or two children and raising them either sheep or wolves, and the sheeps, they just need to be led. You need to protect them at all times, and a lot of parents protect the kids at all times, and that kind of creating that kind of energy where they're not hungry and they're not learning or building character, because he was saying that struggle builds character, and a lot of parents tend to take the struggle away from their kids in a, as a way to protect them, but with that they also losing some important character building exercises that the children could be growing from.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of just wanted to dive into that. I mean, I ain't just necessarily for kids alone, but the fact that struggle builds character.
I agree. It does build character because you have that feeling of like getting through something. And I feel like once you cultivate that feeling, okay, I got through this. Like the some of your experiences gonna kind of tell the story of the rest of your life. That's a bar. I just made that up. But in the terms of like the more you experience and the more you have to go through, sometimes it builds that resiliency so that when that new thing that does come, you feel a little more confident in yourself in
Hmm.
battling the adversity. You know what I'm saying? Opposed to somebody who never, well, what we say, spoiled, who been spoiled out of life. When that adversity hit, they have no idea kind of how to handle that. So they emotionally break down a lot of the times, or they can't handle it mentally. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely agree with the premise that struggle builds character. When we talk in relation to kids, I know it's like a slippery slope sometimes with parents, like when we judging like based on who spoiled and who not spoiled. Like some people will say your child spoiled because you paying for their this and that to your baby and them, which I don't necessarily agree with. I do agree with you have to create, and I think you said it, that creating healthy struggles. You know what I'm saying? That way they could learn and adapt. But I don't think every situation sometimes have to be like I actually like struggling like my back against the wall. Like at the end of the day, friends, family, as parents, we dare to create that kind that help. You know what I'm saying? Especially you don't necessarily want your kids to struggle in the same way that you did. You know what I'm saying? So
True.
you're going what we call baby them to a certain extent, but there's ways to still introduce the principles and these things that you learn from struggling, because it's not struggling in itself that build the character, is the principles and the things that you take on while going through whatever you're going through. If that makes sense.
And I do want to say, I mean, with struggling, it ain't just financial struggle where you probably come from a poor family or a broke family that didn't have the financial means to do everything that you want to do, or even make ends meet at times. But it's
Mm-hmm.
with 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 your kids, let's take outside of the financial situations, struggling could simply mean making them do stuff by, on their own, making
Facts.
just simply the simple tasks that they're able and physically capable of doing. Don't do it for them, even if it's hard for them. They'll struggle, but guess what? Eventually, they'll figure it out. They might cry, and don't go to save them because they're crying. And you could maybe like guide them to get the answer for themselves. But if they're able to arrive to these answers themselves, that's a great way for them to build these characters and develop and become more independent.
This is actually perfect because I literally just had an example of that when I was helping my daughter with her little paper. She is 8. She's doing a research, not a research paper, but a little project about some Indians. And I think generally what a lot of us would do sometimes when we feed them the information, what I actually did was I sat there and I help her learn how to research the information herself. Though it's kind of hard and it's challenging, how to do the research herself, how to kind of struggle to find the information herself
Hmm.
and write down the information. So don't be wrong. At the end of it, before we got off the phone, she was like, "I tired. I need a break. My hand out there from writing." But just that in itself, you know what I'm saying? She had to struggle to find it, and just little things of that nature over a period of time, I think is what helps.
and then you also experience just how great it feels to figure out something for yourself, and then
Facts.
you gonna want that feeling more. I was gonna say that they had this guy with his children. Basically, the moment they were physically capable, anytime they would ask him to do something, his go-to answer would be figure it out. And
Mm,
because he kept that line real sharp, and he made his kids figure out anything that he knew they was capable of figuring out. 4, 5, 6 years old, they cooking their own breakfast, they packing their own bags, they're doing everything themselves because they don't need anybody for those things. They really and truly all they have to do is ask for permission for certain things that they might not be allowed to do without permission. But other than that, they're fully automated and able to do things independently from their parents having to do it for them. So
facts.
that's just a great example as to how healthy struggle, and I mean even unhealthy struggle, when it comes to being in financial situation, that does create that
Mhm.
hunger that our coach was talking about, that make you want to get up out the dirt and do something for yourself. Like for me, I grew up comfortable most all my life. I can't even say most of my life.
Mm,
I was never in any financial struggling situations growing up, and I kind of been playing life. I kind of had life on easy mode. I mean, from school
mm,
to college to everything, and yeah, I had to be able to find that drive later on in life because it wasn't necessarily there growing up. It was just always on
mm,
easy mode, just going with the flow. Same with school. I was a great student in high school into my first few years of college, but I mean, I can't even say great student. I used to get great grades, but being that I had great grades through not having to study and anything like that, when it came time to study, I struggled. I struggled
mm.
tremendously. But the people that was in school, struggling in high school, struggling in the first few years of college, and learned and how to study, get into groups and do things like that, them man thrived. Them man
Yeah,
thrived.
facts.
So the C students, low B students was getting great grades, 4.0s in college, while my ass been struggling. So
Yeah. I
that's
had
a
a
important. Got it.
today. You see today I was like Brian. No, even though he ain't here, everything
Go
is me
ahead.
to interrupt you now. It's crazy. But what I was gonna say is, even today I was talking to a friend, and I was telling him about my struggles in my classes right now. I'm in school for media and communications. We're doing a lot of video work and stuff. And I was telling him like I've become accustomed to catching on to things and learning things very, very quickly. And for like the first time, I'm not able to grasp this as easy as I want to. It actually put me in like an uncomfortable position. Like, what? Now I gotta reevaluate it. Get me really like doing things a lot different. So still building new experiences and stuff, but it helped a lot, Mister. Me and it's a struggle. It's a struggle for sure. The same thing you say. I just become so accustomed. Sometimes taking shortcuts and stuff, and in this situation, I can't, shortcuts for me to text. I actually gotta go dig deep and all right, let me get through this. And through that experience and through doing the new things and learning this new thing that I'm not that good at, definitely building my character for sure. I could tell I approach situations a little bit differently. We're more careful, planning and certain things, which is stuff in my opinion at least, I should have been doing beforehand.
At the end of the day, guys, for one, let your kids struggle, and two, allow yourself to be in situations that's uncomfortable, so that you could grow from getting out of it, or getting better in those struggles when you are in those situations. Don't
Facts.
be fearful of going in uncomfortable situations out of fear of failure or things like that, because going through it makes you a better person, makes you a stronger person, and makes you more valuable to the world. All right.
Facts.
Anything else before we move on?
That's all I got on that topic. That's all I got on that topic. Wait, man. You ain't like and subscribe yet? Take time, take time. Go ahead and do that for me.
All right. So on to the next one. Okay. And this one is the realities of SA. We allowed to say that out? We allowed to say that full name?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the realities of sexual assault, sexual harassment, and the amounts of people that experience at least some form of it. And it is terrifying because most of these people experience this in their childhood. In their childhood. And we're talking over 60% of the population that have experienced some form of sexual assault. And then what's even scarier is that over 80% of the time, it is somebody that they know, whether it's a relative, a friend of the family, a close friend, a acquaintance, is somebody that they know. And
Hmm.
even scarier when it comes to children, that number jumps up to over 90%. And it's kind of a eye opener, really, because I personally never experienced it. But growing up in high school, for some reason, a lot of people saw me as somebody to confide in. And
Mm.
the amount of shit that people go through, dog, is crazy to think. And then that's why I am not surprised why so much woman like on Facebook they'll be posting stuff like they would never want the father of the child to change the daughter pampers, or they would never want the father of the child to bathe the daughter, or things like that. But it stems from stuff like that. What are your thoughts,
It's
man?
it's crazy, right? Because I've had conversations, and there are a lot of things that'll be kind of naive too. And one of those things is sometimes like how a lot of men really moving out here. And don't get me wrong, of course, I'm going to acknowledge the fact that women are doing these acts towards men as well. But the
Of course.
reality is, this is the reality part. The reality of the situation is most of the time is men doing something to a woman or whatever the case may be, or male and female. And when I hear some of the stories of just general things, not even just like pure getting to that stage yet, just the general way that men maneuver behind the scenes with women is insane. I had somebody tell me before, like a majority of the time, you probably know somebody of that has committed one of these acts. You know what I'm saying? Because what they say is sometimes men, and I always combat it and be like, if I do, like, I wouldn't know. Like, yeah, I get it. I may know them,
Right.
but I don't know because these people point up whatever mask in front of me. And what I've realized is men move different amongst men. You know what I'm saying? So when they come to their relationship with a woman or whatever they're doing behind the scenes, you don't see that side. You just seen the regular side, like, yo, that's where they got to the why he would never do this. You know what I'm saying? And to a certain extent, you would wholeheartedly think like that person would never do it. Whole time there's stuff that's going on behind the scenes. And then within our culture, like Caribbean culture, I think it happens more often. Don't quote me on that. But because of this, like that look past something mentality. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
Hmm.
man, that's how like you know uncle whoever they'll be moving a certain kind of way. So it's yeah, man, that's just how Uncle whoever the move. Well, that's just how this man the move, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing, don't pay no mind. When whole time we need to actually be having these kind of conversations and actually checking these people like, yo, that ain't appropriate because the little stuff that you let slide is behind the scenes when they're gonna start to try something more, you know what I'm saying? More intense and try to do something. So my heart goes out to everybody, and like you said, thankfully that you are a person that people were able to confide in. I would like to I would like for you us to be that for all our female friends, our women, you know what I'm saying, to be that person. And then when we do hear about these things, to be able to actually go out there and check the man them that doing these kind of things, you know what I'm saying? Like actually check them and actually correct them. And when you do notice like certain things, like for example, like I always tell people like I've seen situations in which men will be trying to get these girls to drink. Yeah, man. Yeah, get them
Yeah.
girls to drink. But boy, that's like prime. That's like drugging them almost. You know what I'm saying? You priming them up to a point where it's like, all right, they cannot make a very coherent decision, and that's not good. You know what I'm saying? That's
Right.
not good. That's very wrong. Like if that's what you got to do, like you damn near predator. That's like borderline. That's a predator. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be that. And like I say, in our drinking culture, that's how it takes a lot of the time. Like I can't operate without no liquor. You trying to force these drinks on these girl,
Hmm.
and then you run into the situation where it's like you're a man, so they can't. It's hard for them to just say no. You would think they could be like just say no, whatever the case may be. But that ain't how simple it is because no man ready to do you something. That man done drunk. Now they're ready to do you something or cuss you off, or it becomes like a verbal altercation or sometimes a physical altercation of them trying to avoid it. Also, as men, gotta do a better job of
Protecting
checking
our
these
woman.
situations. For yeah, straight up protecting our woman and checking the niggas that's doing this thing. Of course, like I said, people gonna do what they're doing behind their back, but we could also control our responses and really shun some of these behaviors and shun some of these men when they do these kind of assaulting acts, especially when it comes regarding with children. It's so sad that people have to even think like that, like the father of the child.
Right.
But like you said, the statistic shows that it's probably somebody they know because they're comfortable with them people. We
Right.
need to have more conversations at all their ages about what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, and help these children be more open to having conversations with you as the parent or with any kind of guardian figure or even a stranger if it come down to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. And what I will say is, for those of you who have healed from experiencing something like that, sharing your story goes a long, 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 long way, because there's people that's in so much different phases of grief and trauma and trying to deal with what's happened to them, that really and truly might be lost. And being that you were able to navigate that and heal to now with the point where you properly functioning in society again, that could go a long way for somebody else. So I hope that those of you who have experienced that, unfortunately, just really do try to help the next person. And of course, like Webb said, us men feel like we gotta do better, because I feel like feeding woman drinks, especially if they hesitant to drink, is just as bad as dropping drugs in that cup. I feel like it's just as bad.
Absolutely.
So
I
we need
completely
to do
agree.
better with that shit, bro.
And
And
I want to piggyback
yeah.
in terms of sharing the story. Sharing the story is also healthy for yourself
Mm,
to heal from that. You know what I'm saying? They got people who and the healing process, you don't know how long that gonna be, no matter how small the incident or how big the incident was. This could be years and years of healing. The more you share your story, is the more you kind of, I want to say, like, own the story, so it becomes not so much traumatizing. You know what I'm saying? You come to terms and you kind of accept it. And just like you said, other people may be looking for that inspiration. They might be scared to share the story based on how it may make them look, whatever the case may be. You know how society have their viewpoints on how they want to treat you and say it's your fault or this what the case may be. Sharing your stories that is just as inspirational and powerful for the person who's scared to share. Even though this might be the third, 15th time you sharing it, that one person might hear it and feel comfortable or feel comfortable enough to come to you as the person that shared the story to be able to get some advice over the case may be.
hmm. So let's move on, man. Let's move on.
Yeah,
Well, this is kind of on the same topic. What a father, he was, again on the next podcast, he was just expressing how his daughter don't hug him. She just all of a sudden stopped hugging him, and he didn't pay no mind in the beginning. He It was kind of a running joke for a few years, until maybe like 5, 6, 7 years later, he kind of just like, he went in for a hug, and she pushed him off, and then he had to ask, he's like, why have you do you what's the issue, are we not good? And she was like, yeah, we fine, I mean, I love you, so why you always pushing me off when I try to give you a hug? And she told him that you are the only man that when I say don't touch me, you listen. Boys in school, they always trying to touch my ass. They always trying to do different things. I tell them stop. They think it's a joke. They think it's funny. They don't listen. You are the only man in my life that listens when I tell you not to touch me, and I feel safe, and it makes me feel good. Of course, that was eye opening for the father, because the whole time he thinking it's something a whole lot different, a bit still big, but a whole lot different. But it let him know that he was really her safe space, and it also was heartbreaking to know that this is what she's experiencing. And
Yeah, that's
something even
crazy.
as simple as school kids playing around with a girl that have a big ass, and even making comments about a girl that have a body, or different things, sexual comments, that could be, as simple as that sounds, traumatizing for that person. It
Absolutely.
could be traumatizing, and that's something that's so common, so common. Cat calling,
Yeah,
commenting on
yeah.
different things. That's something that most people look at as just a common thing, but some people do experience even nightmares from things like that.
I think more people have an issue with it that probably even speaking up about it. It's just that it is so common. It's like, yeah, whatever. This is just how it'll go. When really and truly, that shouldn't really be how it'll go. I ain't gonna lie. I don't self know how I would have respond to that, bro. Like, to be completely honest with you, that's insane, bro.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that, like, I don't know how I don't even know how I'd feel like. Cause like, you don't never imagine those kind of situations. You know what I'm saying? This ain't
right.
like you say, he thinking is something completely different for it. So for it to be that, like, what do you say then? You know what I'm saying? And then you have that protection factor where it's like, no, you want to go after everybody, but
Right.
the reality is you can't necessarily do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what do you do in that situation? Like, how do you come back from
Dude.
that? That's why I think this conversation is very important, because honestly, thinking about it, like, if my daughters then really get into a situation, though I'd go out and figure out like a lot of ways how to deal with it. Like, I don't really know. If I'm being completely honest, I don't necessarily know how I will handle the situation in terms of like helping to be able to help them heal, etc., etc. No, I know there's certain conversations that I gonna have and have had about like boundaries and certain things. But when people out there don't give a fuck about them things and you have to deal with it, like, what does those conversations look like to be able to repair the damage that has been done?
Hmm. That's also why therapy is extremely important. As a father hearing that, my daughter saying that, like you said, I don't know what the hell I would do, how I would feel. I mean, I would likely go in the bathroom and cry just from hearing that, because that's some a tough thing to hear. That's what your daughter going through. And he had mentioned talking to his grandparents and mother and everybody, and they also experience similar things. So it's tough to hear, especially when it's your child. You'd want to go to the school, like the whole thing on fire, find who those
Facts.
guys be.
Facts.
But
Yeah.
that ain't realistic to do, and come out to be there for your daughter at the end of it. So
These is conversations we need to have early. Like I
yeah.
say, I think a lot of those things is we wait till the later ages to have these conversations, when I feel like, especially in this day and age, these conversations need to happen like very, very early. The conversations about boundary, the conversations about speaking up, etc., etc. And we need to be more like have more conversations, not just like talking about these specific things, but just conversations about how the day is going and how was your experiences with this and that, so that you could kind of catch these things a little bit earlier. Because sometimes it's always a conversation of like, all right, hey, let me go talk about the birds and the bees and whatever, whatever, whatever. And
Yeah.
that's not necessarily the most inviting conversation all the
Right.
time. So I feel like it's more powerful to have like general conversations about, hey, this, and be more open about it. I know as fathers, you never really want to hear about nothing with your daughters at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't even want to imagine anything. But I feel like being able to have those conversations is a very powerful tool when it comes to addressing the issues before they even come up, the proactiveness and then the reactiveness and the end, because now you already have that environment where you guys do talk about these things is more open. So now there's a little bit less of a barrier, because I feel like I feel like naturally, this is me making an assumption, a girl or a woman would be more likely to talk about that with their mother, and I feel like this is something that because it should be just a parent, you know what I'm saying? Let's just talk about these things as parent. And of course, there's still gonna be times where you rather talk to your mother about something, but
Right.
sure, I always have that line of communication, especially if you use the protector, you know what I'm saying? You can't protect something that you don't know what's going on with your life, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? You have to have some kind of insight into what's going on so that you could be able to protect, or you could be able to point in the right direction of, hey, let me go figure out the therapy or whatever the case may be so that I could get in front of this or help you get out of the situation, whatever the case may be.
And that's one of the situations where important to step out your comfort zone and go through those struggles to build character within yourself as being a father
Mm.
to a daughter, because establishing those uncomfortable conversations early, like you said, it really does create that environment, and that comes with kind of balancing the way that you discipline. You don't want to chase them off to where they wouldn't want to be able to be comfortable with communicating with you. It's important to create that safe space so that your kids will confide in whatever it is, no matter what it is, no matter how bad it is. To be able to establish that relationship is crucial, because you don't want to wait till they 25, 26, done went through all of this shit and then finally deciding to talk to you. You want to be on the ground with them to support them throughout whatever it is that they're dealing with. And that starts with creating that environment.
I know your sons as well.
Of
You
course.
know what I'm saying?
Of
With your
course.
sons as well. Especially I know I forget where I saw it, but like even with the mother, sometimes you have this nature where probably you like boost up your son when he getting a heap of girl and he young and he's a little good looking youth man, and you know what I'm saying? Like be careful with some of them things, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't like
Yeah.
these children are impressionable.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So teach these children to be children and to be like upstanding young people, you know what I'm saying? Like upstanding young people and to have the discussions themselves, you know what I'm saying? To make sure they know, like, yo, if your friends doing these kind of things, hey, don't feel a way about speaking up to your friends and them, you know what I'm saying? That's easier said than done, but at least give the opportunity to have that conversation and say it, you know what I'm saying?
And that lead me to something when you said kids are impressionable. One more thing with kids is that another reality of life. Children are individuals.
Mm.
Yes, you could nurture them. Yes, you could raise them. Yes, you could teach them your morals. Yes, you could do whatever it is you do while raising a child. But at the end of the day, that child is going to be who they are eventually. They might conform to your ways while in your house, but at the end of the day, they're going to eventually find themselves and be who they are. And as a parent, we should be focusing on just channeling the energy, putting them in the right situations, right opportunities to really grow their talents and things like that. But I feel like kids will be who they are regardless of what you do. It might just look slightly different, but the personality is not something that you instill in them. So keep that in mind, parents.
One more thing. Man, like we should have done a parents pod, man. Let me
All
learn so
right.
much about parents. But pay attention to the things that you're not directly talking to them about as well. Because these children are watching the way you maneuver with everything that you have going on. And that's some of the things that they're going to imitate. So in the context of what we're talking about, which is why a lot of the times like we don't look at that when in the two parent household sometimes. Unfortunately, some of us growing up in one parent household, not me, but a lot of people. And sometimes you like your daughter don't necessarily know how men supposed to be treating her. Your son don't know how he's supposed to be treating women or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? So you need to like in your relationships and your conversations, though you are a grown adult, these children listening and hearing how you're talking about these things. That's why certain conversations shouldn't even be conversations that you having around children. Because while it's cool for adults to do these things, these children don't really understand the logic that's going on behind what you talking. They may just hear something for face value, and then they going about it, computing how they computing it, and that may not turn out to be something healthy. So pay attention, you know what I'm saying? Pay attention to how you maneuver in your relationships. Pay attention to when you're talking with your friends on the phone about a dude, about a girl, how you talking and you're cheering them in the background, listening. to go back and repeat this to somebody in school. You know what I'm saying? All these things you have to be real aware of. And to be honest, I don't feel like people don't take parenting that serious. If I'm being
Hmm.
honest, to me, that's how I don't look at it. I don't take this thing very seriously. Like you said, the children gonna be individuals at the end of the day, and it's kind of your job to kind of like mold them in a kind of like a good direction, and then hopefully the man just continue to follow in this direction. But we don't really think deep into like what is going on in these children head. Like they're learning everything from how to walk,
Literally.
how to talk, how to think, the accent, everything is going to be influenced by your decisions and your actions. So you gotta be really be moving righteous in yourself and trying your best so that they could see that same thing what we talked about with the struggles. You know what I'm saying? I think we talked about it on a pod before. I talked about this somewhere where it's like allowing your children them to see some of your struggles, to understand why is that struggle, and to teach them how you overcame these things. Like they don't have to necessarily go through the struggle some all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Sometimes it's just you learn through the experience of others. But if
Right.
you're not talking to them because you feel like they're too young or they just grown up, like those some certain things they don't need to. No, certain things you with discretion and discernment, you think about it and you say, all right, I can create this lesson that they could get from this. And I be able to get them to understand it. They have reached this age where this makes sense to them. Let me introduce them to this. But
Yo.
are we really thinking about these things as parents, or we just making you them like everybody just making you now and just going about it? No, you know you try and live your life through your youth because you didn't have this and had that. No, you try and impart down your youth. Take some more responsibility in the children that are pointing to this wall and raise them.
Yo. Children are sponges, and that's a fact.
Facts.
And sure, it starts as early as, I mean, it starts from really birth. That's how they get
Yeah,
to
facts.
the
Yeah.
walking state and things like that. They observe everything and they learn most through observation, especially in the early ages. So whatever they see, they're gonna be taken in, and whatever they make that mean in their head could go in all types of different directions, and that could be a core
Mm-hmm.
memory for them going into adulthood that they think is really what it is because they saw this at the age of 5 and they were like, okay, this is what that means. This is, I must act this way for this certain situation, and it
Mm-hmm.
might be something small, but because they witnessed that and because for some reason they made that a significant meaning in their life and it became a core memory, it has now shaped some portion or some aspect of their life that they have to, whether they go to therapy to find out, or they became self-aware somehow through some experience realizing that's not necessarily the case. That is important to be aware as a parent, my gosh, and as an adult
Absolutely.
around kids. You don't have to be your child. They observing everybody, ain't just their parents they're observing. They just, the parents happen to be around most. So
Yeah, facts. Good
next
point.
thing
Good
I
point.
want
Good
to
point.
talk about, because I saw on Facebook before jumping on this pod, they had this beautiful tall black woman with a little person. They met online. She originally didn't know his height. And I
Mm.
guess it was weird when they met in person, but they in a serious relationship, and they've been together for some time now, and they in love. They say they in love, but social media, everybody off rip assuming that this woman must be in it for something else. It can't be that she genuinely loved the man. Maybe he have money, maybe he have this, maybe it's that. Maybe she in for different intentions as opposed to love. And you see that all the time in with relationships that don't necessarily look picture perfect. You see that, I mean, even without it being a little person, it could just be a shorter man than a woman. It could be a older a 50-year-old woman with a 25-year-old man. He must be in it for the some type of payment. Like love can't exist in those spaces. And
Mm.
the reality is that love has no shape, love has no size, love has no defined look. But yet people are always so quick to jump on that shit and assume the worst when that don't have to necessarily be the case.
I've done it my damn self, man. I said I can't cop, you know what I'm
Same, same. But
saying? I've done it, mate. But that's good. You make good points, man. Like, and realistically, sometimes I think a lot of it. it really comes from like our own insecurities. Like it's our own personal biases and our own personal problems, and we just I don't know, we just feel like this is how everything's supposed to move. Sometimes we just unhappy and we're projected as that. And that song bad, but realistically that's kind of what some of it stems from for a lot of people. Like you just looking at it and you feel this way about it. Why? Sometimes we gotta leave people just be fucking happy, dog.
Hmm.
Like because really and truly, right? And this is where social media really come into play, even in my life and this life in general. This social media thing will just have you all kind of which ways when it comes to the topic of like love, bro. Like
Hmm.
how you supposed to love and how is this supposed to look and how this supposed to look. Is this supposed to be 50-50, or the man supposed to be providing this, or the woman supposed to, you know what I'm saying? Like it gets so much that to a certain degree you don't yourself know what to think. I'm sure there's a lot of people who probably listening, watching, who is out here in the world who have run into situations where they are at one point happy. And then because they've seen all these things, now it's like, wow, my man or my girl don't do this.
Right,
Eventually, like after a while, like subconsciously, that shit gonna eat at you, dog. Like
bro, for
that
sure,
figure really eat
for
at you, like
sure.
wow. And are you watching it like, yeah, man? And I think I shared this example before. You watching a vibe like, wow, pan, I got a Glock PS5, Ethica boxers, and all these things for his birthday. And you ain't really getting them kind of thing. No, you like, wow, this girl maybe don't like me, or no, you want to get a next woman because you want that experience. Then listen, live for ourselves, and that's why it's important to have conversations with your partner as well, listen.
Hmm.
With your partner about like how y'all doing and how y'all, you know what I'm saying, and showing appreciation and these words of affirmations and things. Because it ain't easy. It's easier said than done. Because me, like the social media going social media.
Yeah,
Period.
dude. Yeah,
You,
dude.
go- you like I see I just like you talk about I just see on Facebook. And don't get me wrong, people preference their preference. I'm just talking on the situation because I have a mouth to give an opinion. But like the girl she was 4'11" and partner was 5'9". And she was like, well, I know I'm short, but you short too. I like, but wait, man. Like, to me, you could have been. I had to say was like, I prefer like real tall man. How you gonna tell a man that's 5'9" and you 4'11" that he's short?
That's crazy. That's crazy. And
But love has no face. Love has no image, man. Everybody deserves love, and everybody deserves to love. Not saying that there's not them situation where it is sometimes like that for me. Like somebody is taking advantage of somebody, but at the end of the day, what the fuck that shit got to do with you?
sure,
Like,
honestly.
what make you so miserable to you got gap? It's one thing to all right, me and Farrah had a conversation behind the scenes, you crack a little joke or whatever. But the next thing to really go on this parade on social media and shooting out 50 comments and really like, wow.
Hmm.
Nah, that to me that's miserable, bro. Like that's miserable. And some
Bro.
of them doing it to trolling. But for
Yeah,
the
some
ones them
doing
who
it to
really like,
troll, but browsing through social media, there is not a single post that have over 100 comments where at least 20 of them ain't some just negative shit. It could be the most
uh,
positive video out there. It could be the most
yeah, that
inspirational, powerful, anything. And you would see people talking shit and finding something to hate instead of just really just enjoying the view, enjoying the message and receiving the message for what it is. Anything they would pick on any friggin' thing. Oh, it sounds ingenuine. He didn't mean that. Oh, but 17 years ago he broke up with his girlfriend and started a new family a week later. Like, what the fuck, bro? Relax.
people want to dissect everything. And don't get me wrong, we
Everything.
got podcasts that we dissect things, but I don't think we is like that, man. Some people
Well,
just
we try
to
and
me,
keep
some
it
people just
positive
miserable,
for the
bro.
most part.
Like ladies, people have love.
Man,
Like yeah, check like if they happy, they happy now. If they are here complaining or whatever, okay, come take part or you go wherever the case may be, do your thing. But man, let these people live, bro. Ladies, stop being fucking miserable and let's let the people do the thing. But that's why I said that other day on the social media. I was like, man, listen, if you're gonna be a part of this media thing and put your life on these platforms, hey, get ready for the smoke.
hmm,
Like, I don't care how
honestly,
perfect of a person you think you is, how happy you think your life is, and how positive you trying to influence. People is going to come without smoke, bro. There is people out there for one,
always.
some that's trolling, and for two, these people just and I love them and I hope they find better in their life. but they just miserable and misery love company. They just want to down you for some fucking reason and just feel so compelled to comment. I've never felt compelled to comment some hateful fuck. Like I don't know where in the heart that come from.
Hey, I don't know. I have to be something they going through in general, man, and they just whether they know
That's
it
what
or
I
not,
think it is,
and they
man.
just want to bring some more misery elsewhere, just because
Facts that, 'cause that
that's how
shit
it
don't make
feel.
no sense to me. And the
Which
trollers, man, me ain't gonna lie. I hate the trollers sometimes, but I catch myself trolling yesterday. I see a post and the post don't make no damn sense, bro. Like like clearly everybody in the it was an interview with Shannon Sharp and Speed. I don't know if you know who Speed
mm,
is.
yeah, I know who speed.
Yeah. So they were talking about how he said he could cook a bunch of NFL cornerbacks. And I'm like, okay, if we're being logical and thinking about this thing like it makes sense, what are the chances that he could cook an NFL cornerback? Cool. So I went in the comments and I was like, I don't see them man rooting in the comments. I went in the comments and I say, you know what? Speed is nasty. He will kill any NFL cornerback right now today. Like that, the statement don't make no sense. These people is eating my ass up, boy. Like, listen, they is on my and like it's funny. So I could kind of see with it trolling. And don't be wrong, like that's a light trolling. Some people be trolling on some real serious issues, but I
Yeah,
don't think is appropriate. You know what I'm saying? Like it's social media, social media. Have your fun, do what you want your way in life. Try to keep it away from the serious situation. That was a jokey situation. You know what I'm saying? No
right.
harm, no foul. These people is eating my ass up and saying, you don't know what the hell you talking about. You retarded. Like, I'm like, bro, it's not. At first, I was leaving them and eat me up, you know what I'm saying? Then I started to respond. Listen, if you see something that don't make no sense, then you see a comment that don't make any sense, what's gonna compel you to come and comment? You say you fall for the trap? Bro, scroll and move on, bro.
But to be fair, with that comment with Shannon Sharp and Speed, I think the video was him cooking a NFL cornerback in the
Yeah,
video.
he catch Sauce Gardner in the video,
I
yeah.
mean, and he definitely did look good doing it with his
No, no,
moves.
no, no. See, but see, no, no, no. I gotta play the other people. Them they gonna cook you now because they're gonna say, "Whoa." First of all, SAS ain't playing serious because he's trying
No,
to
that's
avoid. He
true.
not
No,
gonna.
I understand that.
He ain't got no gears. He
I
got regular
understand that.
things.
I
But see,
understand that.
apart from all of that, let the man live, my boy. Hey, me kill white is you know. If I get a feel right now and I see an NFL man, I don't give a shit if you telling me the quarterback won't have that much time listening, right? In my mind, I cook him. All right, he should have been taking this thing as serious as I taking him.
Hey,
Because I run it with that story.
and Speed is a fast guy. I can't say he would
Me
cook
ain't
every
like,
NFL running back, but he claimed
yeah,
I don't know his past, but he claimed he was a 4-star, um,
yeah.
top five in wherever he was from, Utah or
Our
something.
jokes aside, Speed is a real athletic dude. Like I
Oh
think
no,
people
without
sleep
a
on like
doubt,
there is some
he do a
the
string
man is
with his
athletic.
do
Like
like
I watched the man actually race like football meaning soccer players and beating these men for real. Like like he
he's
really
a
beating
fast
these
guy. I
men.
mean, you see where the name
Yes,
come
I
from.
don't on here and discredit him. Not you saying that, but it's talking to the listeners and the viewers. Don't discredit the man, man. Just because, and of course, he's a content creator, guys. Leave people have fun, bro.
Yeah,
Like
and
leave
his
people have
type of
fun.
content, especially. Come on.
Meaning, like his way has to be cutting up. I can't watch this man at all. He annoy me bad sometimes. He cool, you know. Some of it funny, but he the
No,
guy with a
I
lot
like
of
him.
barking
I
heck
like
and
him. Yeah, he'd be
yeah, he the
wilding for
guy and he
sure,
the guy.
without a doubt,
Hey,
man.
one thing I want to bring up current event, real quick. Oh, and
Mhm.
look, are we? You have anything else to close on that topic? Or we kind of went off the rails a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to have to read one more reality of life topic that not in what I have here.
Run it. Yeah,
All
let's hear
right,
it. Let's hear it.
the realities of some people's financial situations. I mean, we like to
Mm,
a lot of people like to laugh about man being broke, man having no money to do this or that. But my wife, she's a teacher, and they had put together a field trip. But
mm,
because for some reason these kids been wilding out lately, and they had these people beat up the bus driver. The buses was not providing any bus for field trips, and with buses for field trips, you don't have to pay for the bus, so they had to rely on
Mm,
taxis for the field trip. So
mm,
each student had to pay $7 to go on this field trip, and it was multiple classes going, and I had see that a parent online was complaining about the $7, and a lot of people talking shit like it's just $7. What are you talking about? This and that, but the reality is some people don't have that money to spare on extra things like that. That seven
facts.
dollars was to go towards the meal to cook that's supposed to last a week, and
Facts.
probably bills couldn't even get paid because they had to get the food to cook for the week. So
Facts.
keep in mind that that's a reality that some people experience, and ain't something to joke about or talk shit about or make people feel belittled over it. It's a reality that millions of people facing right here in
Facts.
America, and thousands of people, millions even if you include the whole of the Caribbean, that they experience. So they're not
Yeah, that's
necessarily
the guilty
homeless,
part.
but they in a very tight financial situation, and it's the reality that they're living with. And oftentimes they are trying to get out of these situations, but it's just what it is. And yeah, so
Shit real. People don't realize shit real out there.
hmm, it
Like
is
and sometimes even when I talking and when I giving out game over the case maybe even sometimes I just say things with naivety. I think that's our word, right? I hope it is. That's why I'm gonna use
negativity.
it. But I just say no naivety. Naivety. I'm making up
I
my
don't
own
know if that's
word.
a word, but we know what you mean.
Me don't need that. But I just say things naively. That's a word.
I want to believe so. It
I
sounds
let's
good.
say right. If it's not, man, I going not real bad on this part today. But I say things without thinking, encompassing everybody, and the entrepreneurial nature does do that a lot. Whereas like you create this thing in your mind where part is like everybody's supposed to be able to just grind and make it. And the real reality of real life is that shit do not work like that. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not going to dump on my message all the time because the message sometimes is for who need to hear it because not everybody in that situation where they can. A lot of people can and do have the ability to work themselves up. But even when we're just talking about things like this hard work and money and these things, I thought entrepreneurs when we talking to common people who not in them realms, we look past a lot of those things like bro, no, I don't like you sacrificing my last $20 to go invest in a business sound real fucking nice to you. But to a man who that's the last $20, like that shit is not easy, bro. Like this man
Right,
ain't gonna eat that. That shit is not easy. But so to try to discredit them man and talk down on them man is disrespectful to the situation. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to lead with empathy. Like
right,
you say, like, yeah, $7 song like Lil Chum Chin. $7 to a lot of people is a meal, bro. A meal or a right to work. You know what I'm saying? Like now you gotta think about it, man. Even if you feel that way about it certain times, learn to not voice every you don't have to voice your fucking opinion on everything, bro.
so
I be telling people, listen,
facts. My God.
listen, sometimes it's good to just shut the fuck up. Like see and
Amen.
shut the fuck up. That fuck ain't got nothing to do with you.
Amen.
Like that fuck don't got
Amen.
nothing to do with you. Leave that shit alone. Keep your mouth shut. Live your life. If you ain't got anything positive to say, or if you ain't gonna donate the $7, just shut the fuck up and go about your life. Sorry for all the cussing, but that being real. This is how we decide to run the pod. I don't cuss by the way. Maybe some parts I won't cuss as much. I feel I need to cuss for that there. Yeah, for that for sure. Get my
And then
point
the
across.
last thing on the realities of life before we go on is that sometimes these struggles, when life backs you in the face, when all the stresses decide to jump you in the alley, it could get friggin' overwhelming. Sometimes so
Mm-hmm.
much so that people take their life. Sometimes so much so that people take others' life. Sometimes so
Mm-hmm.
much so that people just go to the most extreme lengths because they're just crashing out. And
Mm-hmm.
I say that all to say that regardless of what you are going through, it could be the most serious situation you could think of. you are not the only one that has experienced
Facts.
something like that. Maybe the exact same thing or something very similar. You are not the only one. We, as human, have a shared experience. A lot of us haven't experienced what you have, but there's somebody out there that has. You might feel like you're alone in your circle, alone with your family, alone with the people that you are around, but there is people out there, and it's not we're not talking one or two. There's a vast amount of people out there that has experienced something that you have experienced. So just
Facts.
understand that you are not alone. And oftentimes, most of the time, they have spaces where these people come together to talk about the issues together.
Absolutely.
So
That is
I
the
want,
beauty of the technology.
yeah, you're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. For those that think they are, just know you're not.
Yeah, man. And it goes back to what you were saying earlier with sharing your story, man. Like, like we have this social media. I know we like to just share the best parts of our life, but man, sometimes it's good to share the in between as well. You know what I'm saying? For those who know me and know my platform, when I tell her, right, I really like to be telling my real life. You saw people say, "Don't judge me based on my social media." Trust what I telling you. I telling you, even it may not sound like me sometimes. Whole time is I actually went through something or I thought about something, and I just delivering it in a way that other people can understand it and relate to it. These are my real experiences that's going on. You know what I'm saying? And I do love to do it. Don't get me wrong, I don't have to do it all the time, but it's good to sometimes share your experiences, sometimes with your friends as well. Like if you're not doing it on the media, you're doing it with your friends or your family or like we say your kids. Like share your experiences, man, especially if it's something that's overwhelming for you. Definitely share that. You never know who have the piece of advice that you need. You know what I'm saying? And just letting it out. There's so much power in that out and letting it out to your mind. Even if you don't get anything in. Like sometimes, even with me, when I just talk things out and just talk it out loud, it just puts so much ease on me a little bit. The problem may not go away, but it makes it easier. That's why journaling. Let's go back to journaling. Let's talk about it, man. We end my bag again.
Hey,
Journaling. That's why
and
journaling is so powerful. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and even, and if getting it out, speaking with your family, speaking with your friends, journaling, if it's still overwhelming for you and the pressure is still on, seek professional help.
Absolutely, if you can,
Seek
yeah, if you
professional
can.
help.
Even that, some people can't. Yeah,
Yeah, and sure,
but reach out.
yeah,
Like Farai said, there's groups. There is groups out there. I promise you, if you look hard enough, there is a group. I promise you, there's a group, man. Like
and
we
these groups
we
get very
underestimate
specific,
facts, right? We
very.
underestimate the amount of resources that we have at our disposal with this thing you name the cell phone or the laptop. Like, bro, you have access to a lot of shit. Trust me, there is wonderful ladies and gentlemen out here who are thinking about the fact that your insurance cannot pay for therapy, and they are out here with a free group just talking to each other about each other issues and what they are going through. I promise you, there's a group, man. So don't feel like you're alone and reach out, man. Reach out, just go. Like, do not quit on yourself. Like, exert every resource that you could possibly have, or ask somebody else. Come and leave a message and come to page, or shoot a message like, "Yo, let me." Shit, if I gotta go find a group for you, I go find a group for you. You know what I'm saying? And I know this because I've done it myself. Like, I didn't black men mental health groups and these things. You know what I'm saying? On my phone, they just sending the messages, and there's a bunch of brothers who uplifting each other and doing these kind of things. There's shows on TV, even those things, even there's shows on TVs and documentaries who covering these kind of topics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Just give yourself enough grace for going through the situation, and do yourself the favor and look for these things. You know what I'm saying? Like put your best foot out there, and then once you find it, please share it with the community, man.
please,
Share that,
please.
yeah. Share that you find this. That's one thing. If you go on my page, you're gonna find me plug in. Shout out to Shanice. I keep saying this. Shanice doing mental health events, talking about these same things, these generational traumas, all these things. She got a mentorship program going on right now. I just get to send to somebody, and I will share information. When you're seeing these things, share it. It may not be helpful to you, but if you really care about the people around you and care about your community the way a lot of us sit on here and ponder and talk about on the internet, you could share it once in a while. Don't tell me you can't. Cause you share a whole bunch of other bullshit. And I talking about sharing through the medias and through sharing like mouth to mouth pause conversation. I didn't have to say pause, but kind of conversations. You know what I'm saying? Like just talking like, hey, oh, Farah, yeah, man, I hear about this group here. If you know anybody, boom, boom, boom. Oh yeah, man, Farah, I see you going through our vibes. Hey, you might want to check out this group. You know what I'm saying? Like be good humans. Be good
Right.
humans, people. Be good
Let's go
humans.
back to community based living. Let's go back to being for each other. Let's go back to those things. Looking out for one another because
Yeah, man. Be
we ain't in
human,
this
man.
thing alone,
Capitalism really
man.
fuck up bad.
Hey,
Yeah, we are go through it. We are go through it. Don't say watch how we talking. Man's going through it too.
sure.
Like,
Honestly,
man's
we
going through this shit too. You
we
know what I'm
go you
saying?
go
Not too long ago, we
up
just
and down. That's
yeah,
part of life. That's part of the ride of
that's
life,
how it
man.
goes, man. Bring
So
some passengers in your car so you get some entertainment. You know what I'm saying?
so shifting off the realities of life, which technically is a reality of life with this one specifically, this example. But for those who
Mm,
follow the page, and if you're not get to it, please. Um on our social media pages, we start this mini series called Things That Don't Make Sense. So we've been posting a
mhm.
bunch of different scenarios of shit that just don't make sense. And this is one that really don't make sense for me. All right. And that
Let
is
me hear it.
narrowing your standards so much that you only choosing ancient man and ancient woman and then blaming the world for your fucked up standards. That don't make any
Where boy,
sense. Cause you
where
create
boy
that
this
box. You create that friggin' box, bro. And sis, because that happens with a lot of my sisters, but my brethren too. Shift your standards, man. Cause clearly your standards ain't friggin' working. And if all you gain is ain't shit, something is wrong with your selection process. Stop blaming everybody else. Stop blaming all the men, all the women in the world, and blame yourself, please, because that shit don't make sense.
definitely clipping that. Definitely clipping that. But I want to share some positive words song on that path, on that behalf. So I read a book named Blink, and and this is just what I read in the book. I still dissecting it and seeing how it applies to real life and my real life experimentation. But it talked about women specifically creating the standards and the stuff that they look for in a person. The book talked to something about towards like women could kind of say what they want, well, people in general actually could say what they want, but you don't necessarily what you want until they're right there in front of you. And they actually ran experiments surrounding this where they would have like, all right, they have everybody write down, I look for this person, 6 foot, where, and vice versa, and the cipher men. But obviously, I'm focused towards more towards women because that's what we talk about. But and they ran the experiment, and a lot more times than none, the girl actually went for somebody who didn't really meet all of the criteria that was in the box. And then what ended up happening then was when they asked them about it after, if they didn't last, it becomes a vibes like it's just something about him. It's just something about him. And then they will go back again after, reestablish the same um things they look for again, and then redo the process. So it's an interesting thing, man, where we don't really know what we necessarily want. We're narrowing down these things, but we don't really stick to it because that person come and switch you off your feet. And the one thing I would say, and I was talking to my partner about it, what I want people to realize is sometimes, and I think it's important for me to talk on this because I feel like it's why a lot of people, some people, getting into certain bad man kind of tendencies and stuff because they want to get woman. Because at the end of the day, a lot of men do shit to get woman. So if you see the woman them going for bad man, you might not go full blown bad man and tote around gun and shoot man and them thing, you know what I'm saying? But you're gonna take on certain tendencies. And correct me if I'm wrong, ladies. Y'all could come comment and root me up if I want. But I don't necessarily think it's the bad man lifestyle that the man attracted to. I think it's a lot of the masculine
Yes,
things
that's
that come
exactly it.
along with them
Yes.
men. You know what I'm saying? Because the premise is men, women want to be led, women want a masculine man, and they want like a this dominant figure. And naturally, like the gangsters and these things, they kind of have that tendency by nature. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what it'd be kind of. attracted to more so than the actual bad man.
Right,
Don't get me
right.
wrong. This very woman I tell you they're straight attracted to scammers and for whatever reason. But I think for some, so fellas like, bro, just like listen, me no bad man. I don't got a lot of women in my life. You don't have to be a bad man. Sometimes you gotta stand on business. You gotta have sense. You gotta have some principles, and just be yourself, bro. You got a woman out there for everybody.
Hmm. That's for sure.
Same realities of love. Same shit we go back to, man. Stop watching it, what going on, and thinking that you gotta form yourself into some mold to get a girl. Them nah, but just find your niche and work your niche. Good, you gonna find them woman. You know what I'm saying?
And it always starts with being yourself, like Webb said. Always starts with that.
A woman choose better, man. You damn fucking right. Stand on some boundaries. I'd attack all this fucking Lee man come and shoot down all our boundaries. Now I having children and that kind of thing with man that ain't taking care of you. The whole time he get three youth and he ain't been taking care of them three youth neither. What the fuck you
But
thought this shit gonna be different for
sometimes that
you?
was the standards, bro.
Yeah, that
I
shit
mean,
crazy. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. But stand
sometimes it
on
was
business, man. Stand on business. Everybody.
for sure. Everybody.
Everybody stand on business. Like establish some actual values and some boundaries. Don't get me wrong, you know, they're gonna change throughout time. Sometimes you might falter, you might not stand on something, but it starts with even sitting down here and actually thinking consciously and creating some clear things that you're not willing to go for. And sometimes it also goes to like fighting off a little bit of temptation. Because some things ain't good for you. If you're that person trying to lose weight, of course the sugar seem good, but you know the sugar ain't good for you. Leave the sugar. Or if you're gonna go dabble in the sugar, don't come
Sorry, man.
and complain about it. They accept the consequences that comes with the sugar.
Exactly. And that's why and that leads me to this quote. I tell women before we start, I will squeeze this in somewhere because we done mention it before by squeezing it in now. If you ain't changing it, you're choosing it. If you
Facts.
ain't changing it, you're choosing it. You see where I've mentioned cut off the sugar for the fat man them? He's a fat man. And I've been choosing sugar. That's my choice. I can't blame nothing else besides myself. I can't blame anything else. I could try it. I mean, I could make up a million and one excuses, but it still boils down to my choices at the end of the day. So, being that I am still fat, I choose to be fat. And I can't
That's
blame
cool too.
anything else than myself. Exactly. And
You
I
know what I'm
this
saying?
is
That's what
where
you
I am.
choose. That's cool.
And eventually my choice will change. but right now, it's still it's still a fat man.
You know what I'm saying? One of my mentors tell me, he's like, yo, stop lying to yourself, Dread. Like, we gotta stop lying to ourselves. We the lie, we like in you don't lie and negotiate with yourself all the time.
Right.
Like you will lie and negotiate with yourself all the time. And the lesson was really for me to be more disciplined and stop negotiating with myself. Like if you're gonna wake up, get the fuck up. Don't negotiate with yourself because you never gonna win the negotiation.
Right.
Like,
You gonna always choose what you want in the right in the immediate sense.
you know what I'm saying? So stop lying to yourself, man. Just be real with yourself. And if you do want to make a change, outline the things that need to be done and really dedicate yourself the best you can to changing that, as well as make sure the change is gradual.
Yeah.
But in the context of what we were talking about, man, if you know pan ain't no good for you, stay from pan. If you know shorty ain't no good for you, just have this. Try to have the self discipline to keep yourself away. It is going to be worth it more in the end. Trust me.
Amen.
You have plenty other mistakes that you're going to make. Don't make that one.
Yeah, you got it's endless mistakes. Realities of life, man, is gonna always happen and it's gonna continue to happen and you're gonna keep making more. And guess what? After you make those 100 more coming. So don't be scared of it. It's part of life.
Facts. With that, I think that's it, man. I
I
don't even
think
say I
that's
want
it
to
too.
spin back the topic. I think we close good. Make sure y'all following Come True on TikTok. If you things that don't make sense, we talked about it earlier. If you want to do a submission, community, help us. If you see something that don't make sense, hey, hashtag Come True Podcast, hashtag TTDMS. Let me start a new trend. Things that don't make sense, Come True Podcast on our platforms. I'm gonna plug myself, Deshaun, web and our platforms. Come check out some positive word sounds, you know what I'm saying? And I still reading books, so you don't have to. So we're gonna share some of that information coming soon. We know it's been a gap. Y'all ain't been seeing us doing pods. The pods is back. Thank you for everybody who was supporting the TTDMS. In the meantime, we're gonna have much more of those contents coming out soon because we had some positive feedback.
Yep,
With
yep.
that, ladies and gentlemen, Farai,
Peace over the heart, man. Thanks for coming through.
easy.